Dr. Lata Venkatram Madam. Madam is the legal consultant, the lead consultant at Madurai Memorial Hospital, Bangalore. She is the President, Bangalore RCOG Trust, and the Director, WNN Healthcare Private Limited. Our next panelist is Dr. Lalita Amrita. She is a senior consultant at Parmala Hospital, HOD, former Professor. Our third panelist is Dr. Shuchita Mandile. She is the Professor Head, Department of OBG at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Nagpur. And we have Dr. Narahari Agasti, who is the Professor OBG, KIMS Bhubaneswar, Consultant Kalinga Hospital, Bhubaneswar, Executive Member of ISA. Welcome you, sir. Madam. Good evening. I'm very happy. Please call me Dr. She is the Dean Medicine, Western Sydney University. So we can start with that.
That way you can have a look at screen. Reading from Statue of Unity, tallest statue of world, and we all are proud of that statue. Legal issue in pre-eclampsia. We are going to discuss in this panel medico-legal connotations in this type of situation. Warm welcome all the delegates and wishing you a litigation-free practice. At the outset, I would like to thank organizers and Dr. Prakash Mehta in particular for inviting me to share my views about the subject. So these are the panelists, and with Sunita Madam, I will be moderating. And before I go with the panel, please endorse my candidature for post of President Proxy election 2024. Since working in Proxy since years together, the committee chairperson of the Ethics and Medical Committee, the vice president of Proxy. Now I put my candidature for post of President Proxy next year. Usually I start my panel with this line. I never learn from someone who agree with me. And if two people agree on everything, then one of them is not agree. So let us see how panelists here today differs from each other as far as discussion is concerned. So usually start with this question in any of my panels. Is it worth discussing medical connotations in pre-eclampsia? Anybody can do it.
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಫೋನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ.
Good afternoon to everybody, and I think I assist the administrative to give this opportunity to share my views. Yes, sir, but which I know for a pretty long time in different foreign departments of police, and definitely in the era of consumer protection act and era of judiciary, era of journalism, everybody is running after one profession, that is all medical profession. And what happens actually in this case, definitely we are medically indicated because society does not accept something that happens to a new woman, just a pregnant woman, give back to the child. And something wrong happens, then the reverse happens. So that is the reason this really.
So in any case, bombarding of so many questions. Why this happened? Where were you? How you couldn't prevent it? Who is responsible for that?
Yes. And you told throughout pregnancy everything is normal.
Yes. Now suddenly how we came into this type of problem. So medical litigations are increasing in number constantly and speedily, and unluckily the gynecologists rank first. As far as statistic of medical legal cases, either at district forum or state commission or we can first as far as litigation part is concerned. That is why we have to discuss this type of situation in our country. Yes, sir.
There's only specialty which deals with two lines. Okay, one hidden and the other one manifest the mother. Okay, and also pregnancy is taken as something physiological. Nothing less than 100% of nature is accepted. However, morbidity and mortality can be associated with cancer and we don't know which lady is going to go in which way. So we are with complicated, preeclampsia and its complications because people have to understand this phenomenon of preeclampsia. They think the doctor is a culprit rather than the placenta.
We will discuss during our panel discussion. But anyway, let us see. This is very interesting case. It was one good patient, 38 weeks of pregnancy, conversions, 2 kids at home, 1 during transfer. On examination table, 1 more fit, and patient had a blood pressure of 200 by 110 mm of Hg. This is real happened case in Karnataka only. Edema, feet, leg, thigh, back, perineum, almost anasarca. Primary health center. This patient had been to primary health center with her old mother-in-law. That doctor on duty of primary health center straightway said, nothing can be done here. Better you ship this patient to primary. And this patient has been to our organizing chairperson, Dr. Prakash Mehta only. He dealt with this patient was saved, baby was saved, everything was fine, patient was discharged in due course. And patient served with a notice to that very medical officer at primary health center. Case was filed against that very doctor. So then things went wrong. Why this lady, patient or patient party, had a mind to give a notice to doctor who is working at primary health center. Because actually it was very serious case, 200 by 120, edema all over body, and a primary health center with limited resources. Literally he cannot manage. And straightway he told that nothing can be done here, better you take patient to Bangalore. And patient was shifted to Bangalore. So where things went wrong?
Yes, sir. The first thing is that in PSC there is an MBBS doctor, he knows the ABC of life and also pregnancy, hypertensive disorder of pregnancy.
Even if gynecologist is there,
Yeah.
and very limited resources
Yeah.
to deal with this type of situation.
No, sir. But
Then,
once he presented, there is severe hypertension.
yes.
The first thing he has to give some antihypertensive, along with area breathing and convulsion, and also he has seizures, and at least he cannot give loading dose of IV, he can give intramuscular dose of medicine of prevention of seizure. So that will, yeah,
At least he should have done something.
something. And
Maximum
then after he could have
antihypertensive, IV line,
IV line.
and then he would have put this patient. So my question, can one refuse to treat?
In this situation,
No.
So if it is cold case, then one can have all the liberty to choose whether to treat, whether not to.
Yes.
But when it is an emergency,
It is a life-threatening
yes,
condition.
when it is an emergency, one cannot refuse. So can one select patient? No, he has to. And the same question was asked in Lok Sabha in 2014. The same question, can one refuse in this type of situation? And then Indian Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan had given answer in Lok Sabha only. Required to stabilize emergency medical condition of any individual who comes or is brought to such clinical establishment, and then only patient is to be referred to higher center. So it is expected from us by law that at least we should do something to save life of patient, and then only we have to refer them. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm so glad that the patient had this to question the doctor. It has to come from that. In fact, it was the right thing that the patient did. So, like Rather than us imposing laws on ourselves, it's the patient's right to ask the question. That was the right thing that the patient did.
Because whenever you deal with this question, and if something goes wrong, and if you are facing litigation, the question, this type of question, are you able to manage in that very situation? If you are taken case to treat, it simply means that you are competent to deal with the situation accordingly. In eye of law, it is taken. When you claim to be master, you are supposed to be master in eye of law. So, in this type of situation, if you are in primary health center, then what? And if you are in tertiary care center, then
ಅದು ನಿಮ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿರೋರು ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ದು ಅದು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂಥರ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಸರಿಯಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆನ ಸಂಗೀತ ಸಾಧನೆ ಏನೇನು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಶುರು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ತೆಗೆದರೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವತ್ತು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ 7:30 ಊಟ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 8 ಗಂಟೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ 11 ಗಂಟೆ ತನಕ
explaining, then airway should be taken care of and patient should be accompanied by a trained staff in a proper
So, sir, she is a term, she is having eclampsia, she is severe hypertensive. Stabilizing the patient along with the delivery should be planned for that. So,
but ego is primary.
yeah, no, that I'm telling you. After stabilization,
Communication, transfer of patient
Oh,
in a safe,
good.
safe manner. Communication with the tertiary center is
Oh.
very, very important.
So transfer patient very much in time.
yeah.
So that person who is receiving that medication should be able to deal with the situation accordingly. And in this, as far as transfer is concerned, let us discuss transfer of patient. Many times this type of situation may occur with anybody when we have to transfer patient to
27
higher
तारीख
center.
को 27
Who will
तारीख
decide where patient is to be referred or patient is to be transferred? Who will decide? Patient, relative of patient, treating doctor, or
Kalagi.
should it be joint decision?
Treating doctors should have scientific knowledge regarding the
ले भी
disease
कर
process
है
and
खाते
related
कौन
prognosis.
करते
And the doctors should discuss in detail about the constraints, prognosis, and what is the available research available in that situation to manage for the company. She is able to repeat seizures.
So he can discuss all the options available nearby
Nearby
and if
also his incapability regarding further
exam
assistance of
चलती है ना
this
कौन
doctors to communicate.
So
exam
patient
ना
may
कौन
go anywhere, government hospital, trust hospital, private
But
hospital,
tertiary hospital.
medical college hospital, but
Yeah.
it should be tertiary care center. And at the time of transferring the patient, when you give transfer document to the patient, there is signature with date and time. It is very much important. Where patient left your hospital for further care.
And what other drugs you given for
Yes, very clear.
Reynolds
And this is also very much important. Confirm availability of bed, operation theatre, instrument like ventilator, with right and proper person where you are referring the patient.
हाँ
Because
तब
many a time
कॉल कर दो ना
patient is in their hospital and she is in
Oh,
need of
Brother Reynolds,
ventilator
no.
and ventilator is not available. Again,
Oh,
patient will have to
oh,
shift to another center.
क्या
And
कर रहे हो
precious-
अच्छी
and precious time will be wasted.
हाँ।
So before patient leaves
बाहर
the
पढ़ लो ना
hospital
कौन
for reference, naturally we have to confirm it with right and
हाँ।
proper person. That this type of patient I am
ନହେଲେ ବି
referring, and
ରିଗେଟ୍ ରୋଡରେ
she may
ଆଉ
require
ଜଣେ ବି
this type of
ମ୍ୟୁଜିକାଲ
treatment. Yes.
ଇନଷ୍ଟ୍ରୁମେଣ୍ଟ ସବୁ ଜାଗା ରିପେୟାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ସପ୍ ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କେ ନେଇକି ଆଉ କୋଉଠି କରୁଛନ୍ତି କଣ ଜଣା ନାହିଁ
They will take these patients only to government hospital.
Yes.
They will not take to
हाँ।
private hospital. That is the some problem with the transportation.
କୋଉଠି କୋଉଠି
What happened in one of the case, Parmanand Katara, which was decided.
ଓ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ
in that
ସେ
very
ଯୋଉ
case,
ଛକରେ
small
ଛକରେ
boy was going on bicycle and he met
ଛକରେ
with an
ରାଇଟ୍
accident.
ସାଇଡ୍ ହଁ
And one Parmanand
हाँ,
Katara, he
ସେ
was
ପାଖରେ।
social activist, he brought that boy
हाँ।
to nearby hospital. And that very hospital reviewed, it is roadside accident, it becomes an emergency case, and that we will not treat. Patient was brought to another hospital, another hospital. Of course, at the last, patient was admitted by one hospital, he was saved, nothing was happened. But Parmanand Katara went with public interest litigation in court. In this type of situation, what should be the role of any doctor? And in that very case, Supreme Court had a guideline that in this type of situation, whenever any patient comes to you in an emergency, first you treat the patient. All the legal formalities afterwards. So, in that very case, and one more case of Mazdoor Union, Paschim Bengal versus some organization. And in that very case, it was decided whenever you come to government hospital has no reason to refuse. And that is why in this type of emergency, it is better to bring patient to government hospital was the conclusion in that very case. Yes. Now you tell. Yes. For that. So confirmation. So escort of patient, rightly mentioned by madam also. Patient should be, if you are available, then you should escort. If you are busy with some other emergency, then equally competent person should accompany the patient. And in this type of situation, anesthesiologist is the best person. Because if at all something happens in between, cardiac arrest or anything else, then he will be the best person to manage. So he can also escort the patient. Of course,
PHC there only.
We are discussing in general, not for that very case. Primary health center different thing. And use of pneumatic anti-shock garment in case of shock. This is all, because it shows your consent to save life of patient. And whenever you are facing litigation, all these measures you have taken counts in your favor. So this is also very much important. Accompanying, just I mentioned, handing over patient to proper person. Where patient, you have referred the patient. Because proper person will take charge of patient and start treatment immediately. Transfer document. So whichever document you have to transfer to the patient at the time of transfer, it is also very much important. And one copy should be with you. So all the treatments given at your place, all the investigations, if you have advisor, so everything should be given to patient in this type of situation. And you have not to remember all these things. It is available on Foxy website. You have to simply we have prepared almost 30 different consent, and now it is available in Kannada also. So in that very consent, how to transfer patient to higher center, consent and which kind of document we have to give to the patient party and which precaution we have, everything we have mentioned. So simply you have to go through. So say for example, name of reason for referral, details, condition of patient, vitals when first seen, vitals when referred, history of comorbidity, operation details. So all these points we have mentioned in that case. Transfer in ambulance or in any other vehicle arranged by hospital or patient or patient party arranged by themselves. So each and every point we have mentioned. Monitoring details during transit also, pulse, blood pressure, saturation, respiratory rate, detail of any event during transit. So it is, we have to mention before handing over paper to the person concerned. And this is checklist. So it is already there in Foxy website. You can go through. Reserve transfer document of patient, all the documents which you have given to the patient. One copy should be with you. Because if at all you have to face litigation, then it will be very good defense in your favor. So this is available, just I mentioned, on Foxy website. And as far as uniform consent is concerned, we have prepared in two parts. Part one is information about surgery or procedure or treatment part with all these subheadings, and part two is undertaking. So whatever we have explained in part one, patient will do in part two as far as undertaking is concerned. And we have mentioned this also. I understand that during course of surgery, doctor may find other unanticipated, unhealthy condition that may need specific action, procedure, surgery, and anesthesia. If doctor feels that it will be beneficial to treat such condition while performing proposed surgery, and if I am not in a mental or physical capacity to give consent, doctor may take necessary decision after discussing with Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so waiting outside operation theatre, authorized above mentioned person to give proxy consent on my behalf. So in this type of situation, if patient has given a proxy consent to any of her relative, Then in this unanticipated condition, when we have to extend scope of consent given by patient, we can discuss with their relative, and if they give consent, then we can very well go with accordingly. And one more thing we have also mentioned, in order to save life, it may even be necessary to do additional surgery or procedure or prolonged anesthesia, which are beyond the scope of consent given by me. I authorize doctor to take such decision if need be. If patient has given consent like this, say for example during cesarean section, in spite of all your efforts, PPH is not controlled and obstetric hysterectomy is to be considered. If this type of condition patient has given, you are safe to very well proceed with the hysterectomy. And at the end of literally sign a signature of patient or documentation, two witnesses in one in favor of hospital, one in favor of patient, and signature of doctor also very much required in this form. Why? Because whenever any patient comes to you and you accept to treat her, it becomes a contract or implied contract between patient and yourself. You are offering your expert services, patient pays for that or patient promises to pay for that. And under Indian Contract Act, unless all the party involved in the contract signs the document is not complete. That is why signature of doctor is also very much required in consent. Yes, ma'am.
Professor Anne, your take on the way it was managed.
So thanks for including me. I went to the wrong room. I was a bit late. Look, I agree with the precept that a blood pressure of that magnitude sits with ABC of basic life support and would be considered an emergency. I don't necessarily hold with it's easy for us to sit and say, you must know how to deal with these things and deal with them, because I've worked in peripheral centres on my 20th hour or my 40th hour or my 50th hour of being on call, and there are times when you may need support in decision making. The problem for mine here wasn't necessarily that you instantly don't know what to do, but you should recognise that it's a problem and then have someone that you can reach out to in a supported decision way. And I think, just because we know that 220 on 120 is extraordinarily high blood pressure, confronted with tired and a pregnant situation that you haven't thought about for a while with the baby inside you. There is a school of thought around that the high blood pressure is somehow compensatory and is supporting a sick baby. That's a theory from the 50s, but the world was flat apparently once, and then it got terribly round all of a sudden. There are maybe some thinking out there that's not consistent with modern thinking, but you should recognise, in my review, my consideration would be, you should know that it's a problem and then have a mechanism to seek help if you're peripheral and on your own. So I don't know enough about how a doctor at a primary health care centre would be supported, but I would hope in our environment, we've got a much bigger country than you. Correct. We're bigger than the moon, they tell me. We're wider than the moon anyway. We are treating patients that are thousands of kilometres away at times. But we would have in Australia that is a pretty rigorous system of knowing who is the point of contact, who would have enough specialised knowledge to do it. So I would I still think it's a problem that it wasn't dealt with, but how we dealt with it should have had a solution that was clear in the notes. And then I think comes back to your comment, sir. I think once that conversation is started, then the next step in the conversation and the next step about the mode of safe transfer, what's required and the purpose of transfer, then grow out of a shared journey in the care of that patient. Now, I've been in a peripheral location where I rang the doctor. I was on an island, tropical island of Australia, and I rang the mainland and said, this patient has severe preeclampsia and I can start treatment but needs to be rescued. And the doctor, this more senior obstetrician, said to me, she was 18 years of age, she's going to die, we're not going to bother coming to get her. And I said, not on my watch, I'll ring the health minister if that's what it takes, but I'll escalate this to the point that somebody comes to take this young woman to the care, and she survived that. So I think at sometimes, we're busy, but we have to be strong for and fight for the rights of the patients. And there's always someone that you can call for help. So that would be my reflection.
Yes.
Thank you.
Professor Lalita Ambika, because you would know how the referral system works in the country. Yeah. A small thought process to Professor Anne Marie.
So all over India, referral system recommended is same, but there is region to region variation. As far as Kerala is concerned, it's a small state and there are so many hospitals, private as well as government with tertiary care facilities. So to be referred to which hospital, as per the rule, we have to refer from primary health center to FRU to Taluk headquarters to the medical. But there is an order. If you think that the patient's condition is so serious that she cannot be sent to a FRU or even a Taluk headquarters, you can straight away refer the patient to appropriate center. There's an order like that. So we are safe. We need not go through the entire reference channel. That is the system followed in Kerala.
Thank you. So, yeah, we'll go to the next case scenario. A small note about this case history. Like in preeclampsia, it is said that history taking is very, very important to understand if the woman is at risk for preeclampsia. We had an interesting case. She was fourth gravida with previous 3 deliveries, previous 3 cesareans. Of that, she had 2 children of her own, and the 3rd cesarean was conducted by me. She was a surrogate to another commissioning couple. Then for the 4th pregnancy, when I refused that, you have already become a surrogate mother once, you should not go through surrogacy for the 2nd time, she forged her name and went to another doctor, got the transfer done at an interval of 6 months post cesarean. So now unfortunately, the commissioning couple had registered with us. So it means that we are responsible for that surrogate mother. She was in the surrogate house till about 30 weeks, twin pregnancy, and she was managed well by the primary care physician. She came back at 30 weeks with twin pregnancy with BP of 130/90. So definitely 4th pregnancy with previous 3 cesareans, and this is the surrogate mother. So definitely the gamete, it is like a donor gamete pregnancy for her. She's at high risk of preeclampsia. She was monitored carefully. She was started on antihypertensives, and I kept informing the commissioning couple that this lady, she is at risk of developing complications, and we may have to deliver the lady preterm. So now the concern was the commissioning couple didn't want preterm delivery at any cost because they have paid the money to the agency to get their pregnancy through with the surrogate. So they didn't want a preterm delivery. So it was like I had to weigh the balance. But with careful monitoring, I was able to take her till only 35 weeks of pregnancy. And the commissioning couple, I had to take video consultation, inform them that this lady is going into HELLP syndrome. We may not be able to continue the pregnancy. So we had to go in for an emergency delivery, and I delivered the babies. Both the babies were fine. They were in the NICU for just a couple of days, and the commissioning couple were happy. But then after that, this lady went into complications, HELLP syndrome, DIC, and she required ICU admission. So at the time of delivery, we had taken consent from the commissioning couple. But after that, the commissioning couple said that the contract is completed once the delivery is done. So now who had to take care of the surrogate mother, her costs and her consents? So any take? I think sir will have an answer.
When patient is major, when patient is mentally sound, patient herself can give consent for any treatment. So here in this case also, patient can also give consent. But issue was, if it is an emergency, no consent is required. You can treat patient accordingly to save life of patient. Provision of consent in ART and surrogacy. In ART and surrogacy, which is enacted in 2021, it is very specifically mentioned. Consent, it should be written and informed. All the party seeking ART, commissioning couple as well as surrogate couple, all the party involved will give consent for this surrogate program, and all the possible stage, say for example, retrieval of ovum, then transfer of embryo. So at each and every stage of this procedure, and then after pregnancy, we have to go with consent. It is very much in ERT Act. But issue was who will pay. So it is also very clear in ERT Act. Insurance, prescribed amount for 12 months in favor of oocyte donor, and if she is surrogate, then for 36 months. So role of commissioning couple doesn't ends as patient delivers and baby is handed over to them. They will have to take all the responsibility up to 36 months. If at all any complication related to that very pregnancy happens, and treatment is to be continued. And not only that, this insurance should be by insurance like Regulatory Development Authority established company. So it should be from any company, but it should be recognized under RDIA and in court of law. This affidavit should be there on part of commissioning couple. So if at all any treatment part is concerned to that surrogate during pregnancy, after delivery, and up to 26 months of time, then commissioning couple is responsible to pay all the expenses related to this type of situation. It is very clear in ERT. Let us see one more interesting case. Any comments for that case? Otherwise, we will go further. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I guess that's a fascinating case and exposes the broad and deep issues around surrogacy and why it's illegal in some countries. What worries me in this area is that no matter what, that's very clear that contract that they would have signed gave them a 36-month obligation, and that means that litigation issue is sorted out. But the broader issue about care and the ethics, I don't know how they could possibly stop at 36 months. So let's say that woman unluckily had a cerebellar stroke and then needed significant rehabilitation because of a stroke related to preeclampsia in the exact circumstance that you described. Being able to support her financial rehabilitation and ongoing neurological or disability support needs wouldn't end at 36 months. I only make that point to say it's going to be a constantly moving area. No matter what we covered, every time I come to one of these, there's something that falls just outside of what we decided, and we have to kind of start again. So in my state, it's illegal. It's overseas illegal. But women who seek surrogacy in Australia can, under extremely exceptional circumstances, have some surrogacy options in Canberra, which is our capital territory. But we have had cases where the twins were the surrogate pregnancy was overseas, but one of the twins was disabled and they only took the well baby back. So the mother then litigated against being left with the disabled baby, and that was a national headline story that created lots of dialogue about whether we should make a move or not. And I find it fascinating once these kinds of stories get into the media and the sort of public zeitgeist, how much that influences further legal decision making. So that.
So now insurance coverage in Australia. Insurance covers for AIT pregnancy in your country. Insurance
coverage
in your country.
No, it's illegal. It's illegal. So there's no issue.
So now, madam, in India now, foreign surrogacy is totally banned. Commercial surrogacy is totally banned. Now only altruistic surrogacy is allowed. So any relative or any known or friend will give service as a surrogate only. But for that also, there are two certificates are required. One certificate of eligibility and one certificate of essentiality. And that certificate will be given by appropriate authority. And once that certificate comes, then patient commissioning couple will go for insurance, and that very insurance will be taken before honorable magistrate. And they will give with one affidavit that as far as parentage is concerned and custody of baby is concerned. If at all baby born with any congenital anomaly or so, then also commissioning couple is under obligation to take custody of their very baby. So this type of affidavit before going to go in a program of surrogacy is very much required in court of law. So these are some requisites as far as surrogacy part is concerned in India. So let us see, very interesting case. Fact of the case, small nursing home, book patient 37 weeks with mild PIH, 1 or 2 readings, 130, 90 mm of Hg, mild pedal edema, urine albumin 1 plus, all other investigation within normal limit. Induced with cervitin gel and oxytocin, acute fetal distress, and ultimately lower segment cesarean section was there. No evidence of abruption. Meconium stain lighter. Baby didn't cry immediately. Shifted in NICU in another hospital for 10 days. Birth weight was 2.4 kg. And it was diagnosed as a late onset of FGR. Mother had a postpartum increase in blood pressure and postpartum eclampsia on day 8. So she was also admitted in one other hospital, managed properly at the hospital where baby was admitted, and whooping bill came to 10 lakhs. Now, problem started here only. When all this expense came and bill was raised to 10 lakhs, now husband was very angry. And attendants angry that though patient was undergoing regular antenatal checkup, doctor didn't diagnose FGR and manage properly was the allegation. Mother also had a serious complication which were not anticipated by treating doctor. An angry mob gathered the doctor, police was called, and they suggested compromise. And in that compromise, doctor paid the whole bill. See, this is the real happened case. So, in this type of situation, allegation in this case was why patient was not referred to higher center when appropriate facilities were not available at small hospital, because this baby was delivered at small nursing home. And why wasn't it explained to patient that PIH can have serious complications? One more area. And why FGR was not diagnosed or during scanning of the patient or screening of the patient. So these were the allegations in this very case. So point in issue, why patient was not referred to higher center when appropriate facilities were not available at a small hospital. Comments?
In this particular case, the only thing is the counseling that matters for the biggest, because there is we don't know at what blood pressure exactly patient is going to eclampsia, and there is narrow therapeutic window. And that particular one, there is a albumin significance, 37 minutes, borderline 130 by 90. Patient should be properly counseled that you are going to have some pregnancy-induced hypertension features, and you may require early delivery. And this is my availability in my nursing home. I don't have an issue. Baby may have the fetal growth restriction, baby may have a baby may not cry in the ideally cesarean section if you want to terminate the pregnancy. And I may refer the patient nearby to whom I am usually referring for an issue. So these things has to be in detail discussed with the patient. Then if the patient agrees, then you can go for that is the first thing.
So in this type of situation, whenever you are facing any kind of litigation, usually few questions you have to ask. Yeah. Say for example, if smart advocate on part of patient, like Dr. MC Patel, of course, I do not appear on part of patient ever. I always appear on behalf of Dr. First question usually asked, was it preventable? And you cannot say no.
Yes.
So if it was preventable, then what did you do to prevent it? One more question. And one more question, if you couldn't prevent, then why you couldn't prevent it? One more question, did you diagnose that very complication very time? And did you manage way in which any prudent gynecologist would have managed? If you can answer all those questions, then you are out of problem. But for that, there are 3 tips from medical legal experts. 1, foreseeability and anticipation. Court and law expect from us to anticipate certain complications, certain problems. Say, for example, if you are dealing with a case of central patient or TB, with history of previous to LSA, naturally one should anticipate that she may attend to BPA. She may require blood transfusion. Even she may require obstetric hysterectomy also. So if you are anticipated and if you are readily available to deal with situation accordingly, you are out of problem. So one is anticipation, foreseeability, and if you are anticipated, then proper counseling. You have to counsel patient. In this very case, if patient was counseled well, that this is the situation, and in this type of though blood pressure is mild to moderate this time, but it may shoot at any time, and it may create any complication. If patient is counseled that way, then it could be an easier one whenever we are facing in court of law. So proper counseling and of course proper documentation. Whatever you have advised, whatever you have dealt with, it is to be entered in your case paper. Because good record is good defense, poor record is poor defense, and no record is no defense. And it is my experience during my medical practice. We doctors' friends are very poor as far as record keeping is concerned. We are happy to examine patient in indoors. We go in court, we see one everything, but we have no habit to enter into indoor case paper. So make a habit to enter everything in a case paper. And if patient has not complied, say for example, if you advise certain investigator or if you advise for follow-up examination to come and patient didn't comply, make a habit to enter in the record. Patient didn't comply with the advice, patient didn't come for regular checkup, patient not taking medicine properly. So this simple sentence becomes good defense in your favor whenever you are facing litigation. So yes, you are telling something.
Okay. 130 by 90 plus the albuminuria. I think even in the lowest of setting, you can do.
Agree, but you should
have
explain.
and also document.
Of course, this is my one, but it may increase in future. That way, because what allegation on part of her husband was you never told anything about this case. And everything was going normal. We were coming to regular antenatal checkup. You didn't say anything ever. You know why this happened? Why you couldn't diagnose FTR well in time? It was allegation in this particular case. So in this type of situation, why FTR not diagnosing? Yes, sir.
Yes, if I could just add, to stick up for the society, ISHIP guidelines clearly state that we don't have anything that exists that's called mild VIH. And this is the very reason why we don't support that terminology. And I would not publish a paper if you sent to me as editor of the journal saying this is mild versus severe preeclampsia. Because over the years, obstetricians have said to me repeatedly, you can't have a mild dreadful disease. So our preferred terminology is preeclampsia with mild features. And that forces you to say to the patient you have preeclampsia. If they then say to you, how severe is it? Well, so your blood pressures could be a lot higher, but you still have preeclampsia. And I think that's a very different statement from you've got mild something or other that we think won't go anywhere, because we don't know. So I think it's about the terminology, right back at the beginning of the case.
So from document you have to prove that how you treated that verification, which investigation you offer, whether patient get it done or not, that is up to patient. But if you advise, you are textbook references in this type of situation, how to deal with the situation, how patient is to be treated. And if you have treated patient which any or any practice prevailing in nearby medical college, then you are saved in court of law. And as far as any screening part is concerned, specificity or sensitivity of that very screening test is also taken into consideration in court. But one very important question or situation, where should we manage this type of high risk cases? But as such, there is no law. There is no guideline in any law where this type of patient we should manage. But any comments from any panelists?
It depends where you are working. If you are working with good networking with other doctors, colleagues, and also the Research Center of Medical Health. But basically, to go for the litigation,
କରିଦେଇଥିବାର କାଳେ ଅଡିଓ କାଉଣ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରେ
but that is not possible in a practically possible not in a country always. So we should have
ସରି ଯାଇଛି ଗୋଟେ ହଲ୍ ରୁ ରେକର୍ଡ କରିକି ଆସ
and they can help us at the right moment if you want.
ଆଉ ଦିଟା ହଲ୍ ରେ ଏମିତି ତ ସେଟା ରେକର୍ଡ କରିଦଉଛି
The case should be individualized and
କାମ ଦେଲେ
the
ଦେଲେ
issue
ନହେଲେ
should be also on that proper ground.
So, yes, sir, very, yes, yes.
Yeah,
କାଇଁ
every
କରିବ କାମ
setup
ପାଇଁ
has
ବୋଇଲା
to be,
ବିଚାର
should have guidelines. Everybody should be prepared to manage cases. They should have regulators with their healthcare workers, whatever type of setup they have,
କାନ୍ତକୁ
whether they are
ମେସେଜ
doctors or
ମେସେଜ
paramedical
କରିଥିଲି
workers, they should have
ତାର ପୁଣି
guidelines.
ଏରର
They
ପଳେଇ
should
ଆସୁଛି
have
ପୁଣି
a
କଣ କି
tray ready for management of these cases so that the
ମୋର
management is uniform.
ଏରର
And
କିଛି
of course, then you can
ହେଇଛି
have a rapid response
ସରି
team
ସେଥିପାଇଁ
where
ଡେରି
you can manage these cases. It's not
ଆଜି
about the
ନାଇଟ୍ ରେ
setup,
ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର
it's
କରିଦେବି
about the
ମେସେଜ କଲା
preparedness of any setup.
So usually there is no guideline, but whenever we are facing this type of situation, and we have dealt with situation at small nursing home also, this type of question asked on part of court. One do try to get information about infrastructure. Say for example,
ନେକ୍ସଟ ଆଉ କେବେ କହିବ ବୋଲେ
are you able to arrange blood in any given emergency at your place? Arrangement of consultant. So if you have to refer that very patient to
ତାଙ୍କର ପାଖରୁ
any
ପଇସା ମାଗିଦେବି ନା
consultant,
କଣ
any other specialty, are they available? Facilities for
ଏ ଯୋଉ
emergency investigation. If you have to do with any investigation.
मोहम्मद
Are
रफी
you able
प्रोग्राम
to do
कॉलेज
it? Facility for crash LSCS. So these are certain
ପଚାରି ଦେବି ନା
questions
କଣ
which are
ଭାବୁଛି
asked in court of law. And if you can answer all this, then you can very well deal with patient at your
ସେ
place and you will get
ଅନ୍ଧପୁଡାକୁ
better. This is also very much important and multidisciplinary approach. So if you can manage, considering all these parameters we just discussed, then you can manage case anywhere where you want to do it.
ସେମିତି ଦୁଇ ମନ
In
ହଉଛି
both cases,
ପଚାରିବି ନା ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ
unbooked
ପଚାରିବି ନା
patient,
କାହାକୁ ପଚାରିବି କଣ
primary
ବୋଲି
24
ପଚାରିବି
weeks
ସେମିତି
with
କରେ
hypertension. She was advised necessary investigations and treatment. But the next day, she had abruption and intrauterine death.
So this is real happened case in state of Gujarat.
ଡାକିଲା ବୋଲେ ସିଏ ଖାଲି ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଲେ ଫ୍ଲୁଟ ପ୍ଲେୟର କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି କି ବୋଲିକି ବୋଲିବାରୁ ସିଏ ମତେ କହିଦେଲା ମତେ କହିକି ମୋର ନମ୍ବର ଦେଇଦେଲା ତାକୁ ମୋର ନମ୍ବର ଦେଇଦେବାରୁ ସେ ଲୋକ ମତେ କଲ୍ କଲା ନାଇଁ 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 ଆଉ ଜଣେ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜର କୁ ସେ ନମ୍ବର ଦେବାରୁ ସିଏ ମତେ କଲ୍ କଲା ଆହୁରି ତମେ କଣ ବଜଉଛ କଣ ଆଉ ତମେ ସେ ଅନ୍ଧପୁଡା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ କର ବୋଇଲା କଣ ବଜେଇବାର ଅଛି କେମିତି କଣ କରିବ ସେ ଯାହା ପଚାରିବ ତା ସହିତ କଥା ହବ ବୋଇଲା ସିଏ ମ୍ୟୁଜିକ ଆରେଞ୍ଜ କରୁଥିଲା ହେଲେ ସିଏ ମତେ ପଚାରିଲା ମୁଁ ତା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥା ହେଲି କଥା ହେଲା ପରେ ହଉ ବୋଲିକି ଏମିତି କଥା ହେଲେ ସିନା ଆଉ ପଇସା ବିଷୟ କିଏ ବି କଥା ହେଇନାହାନ୍ତି ହେଲେ ସେ ଝିଅ ମତେ କଣ କହିଦେଲା ସେ ଓଡିଆ ଝିଅ ରଶ୍ମି ଆଉ ପଇସା କଥା କଣ କଥା ହେଲ କି ଭାଇନା ବୋଇଲା ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ କାହା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥା ହେଇନି କଥା ହବାର ଅଛି ବୋଲାରୁ ହଉ ଠିକ ଅଛି କଥା ହଉନ ତାଙ୍କେ ବେଶିକା ଦେବେ ଆଉ କଥା ହଉନ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ତାଙ୍କେ ସବୁ ହାଇ ପ୍ରଫେସନାଲ ପଇସାରେ ସେମିତି ଇଏ ନାହିଁ ବୋଇଲା ହଉ ବୋଇଲେ ବୋଲିକି ମୁଁ ଆଉ କାହା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥା ହେଲିନି ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ସରିଲା ପରେ ସରିଲା ଯାବାରେ ସେ ରହିଗଲି ବାସ୍
that abruptio presenti may occur at any time with any patient and one cannot predict, of course.
ନାଇଁ ଫ୍ରି ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ହେଲେ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ସିନା
Hypertension is fine, but
ଟିକେଟ ସହ ସେଟା
one cannot say which patient will go in abruptio and which patient will not. So we could ultimately convince and case was in our favor. So
ସେ ରଶ୍ମିକା ଇଏ କରିବା କଥା ବୋଧେ ପଚାରିବା କଥା ବୋଧେ ନାଇଁ କି?
in this type of situation, whenever you are facing
ହଁ
The first visit that she had, 34 weeks, she was diagnosed as preeclampsia. Was she given an information on the complications of preeclampsia? If that information was shared with the patient, which has everything in a pictorial, in a line, if that makes her say that she's been given all the information and this can occur. So that would have made it safer for the doctor that you have shared that information with the patient. So, and then of course, management, I don't know, we're waiting for investigations and giving an options of pregnancy termination and the places where it could be done. Prevention of PPH, I think again in that situation, the doctor, if he had given the information that we are performing a section for a patient with an abruption of the placenta, and so many % of the cases will have an alternate PPH, and this could be the outcome. So information sharing and counseling will have played a major role. Counseling goes a very long way. Because you have to explain that
ସେ ଲୋକ ଗୋଟେ ଫୋନ କରିଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ପାଇଁ ଯେ ଟାଇମ ମାନେ ଛୁଟି ନାହିଁ ବୋଲି ନାହିଁ ବୋଲୁଥିଲେ।
and also all the complications have to be mentioned, but counseling is an art, obviously. So
कौन कोई बोली
all the other systems
कॉल कला पर मन पड़ा
very important in counseling. And also, when it has to be a high risk consent when you are taking a lady with abruption for a cesarean section, because there could be atopic PPH, DIC, so many things.
ଆଜି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ
Prior consent to hysterectomy.
ବୁଧବାର ରାତି ପାଇଁ ବୋଲି
That is how we would.
ଆମେ ଖାଲି ଫ୍ଲୋଟ ପଣେ ଗୋଟେ 20-25 ଜଣ ଥିଲେ
do any investigation. Second, she was diagnosed with abruptio placentae and it is an emergency case to be delivered, whatever the route may be. It may be vaginal or it may be cesarean. Second thing, the third non-compliant, she did not listen to the gynecologist, went into a surgeon.
Sir.
But non-compliant patient, unlucky patient, and unlucky obstetrician. This is a combination of all these things.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is a litigant and ignorant and arrogant.
But ultimately, owns on the treating doctor.
Yes.
Because in the court of law does not do anything except blaming the doctor. But what is asking? Whether it is preventable, we can prevent abortion. We need 120 130 abortion can happen. We need every markers are right. But the thing is that patients should
जोने जाएगी बाजार रात पड़ी किसी साउंड ना तो कुछ ना तो
fast setting deliver IUD abortion both are in the favor of DIC. So that is the reason for the atomic PPH. So proper time anticipation recognition
20-25 ଜଣ କୁ ବି ସାଉଣ୍ଡ ଦରକାର କି होइला ଆମ ସାର୍ କହିଲା ପରେ ତାଙ୍କ ଘରେ ଯେମିତି ସେମିତି ହେଲେ ବି ତାଙ୍କେ 7 ଜଣକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଆମେ ସାଉଣ୍ଡ ଲଗେଇ ଦେଇଥିଲୁ ହେଲେ ବି ବିଚାର ଚଢି ଯାଇକି ସେଠି ମତେ କାମ ଅଛି ଅଫିସ କାମ
We could have gone retrospectively. How we could have predicted. One thing is, although she was unbooked, you can't say
काहेगी
she
टेंशन न
must have
हो
some antenatal care somewhere. So she must have got some antenatal records, some investigations. She could have gone through the. When we say unbooked, this is when she's come in for the first time. But she must have had some antenatal care.
and homework देखो कौन ଅଛି ना नहीं ना
Go through and see whether she was a
कौन
high
करला
risk
कि
or
नहीं
not.
कि
Probably the time elapsed between the abduction and delivery because she was taken to another town. If the
खाइलो ना
in the same hospital, probably
तबे
that much of PPH would not have occurred and they could
खाइलो
have saved the issues. Moreover, the second hospital surgeon did means the employees are having
उठी नहीं गए बजे
and the decision making was
and all the oxytocin,
Proper
we
prophylactic measures were not taken.
PCV, step-wise sterilization, compression sutures, because gynecology was assisted. So they did well, but unlucky on part of patients. Bleeding was not getting control. And ultimately, because in the court, my last sentence was, we have not removed you. We have sacrificed it to save life.
Yeah.
That's the one. And regarding prediction, madam, this is suppose we are doing a first time testing and that particular case will do informative sampling and it more than 3 times.
ସବୁଦିନ କଣ ସବୁଦିନ ସେଟା ଏକା ଲୋକ ଶୁଣି ଶୁଣି ବିଚାରେ ଯେ
Unfortunately, this case is on
ବୁଝିବାଟା ଗୋଟେ ଦି ତିନିଟା ରାଗା
but once it
ବର୍ଷ ରାଗିନା ବୁଝିପାରିବେ
Maybe for a primary gravid item, like the way we counsel for the prediction test. What are the prediction tests which are available? Are you willing to take US prediction test?
କିଏ ଆସିକି ଏଇଟା କି ରାଗା ଏଇ ରାଗ ବଜା ଲୋକମାନେ ମଝି ମଝିରେ
Not for this patient.
ଆସିକି ଏଇ ରାଗା ବଜାଅ ସେଇଟା ବଜାଅ ବୋଲିବେ
Which are the criteria for prediction as well as
ମତେ ଗୋଟେ ଥର
Yes, so
ଏବେ କୋଉଟା ଗୋଟେ ବଜେଇ ଦଉଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ମନ ଇଚ୍ଛା
one is earliest,
ହେଲା
extreme of case.
କହିଥିଲି ପରା
One is
ସେ
extreme of
ପଚାରୁଥିଲେ କି ରାଗ ବଜଉଥିଲ ବୋଇଲା
mainly whether it is a spontaneous pregnancy or ART pregnancy. It is all a high risk.
Yes, you are right. So as far as maternal age,
I don't know raga standard just I was playing with it.
then
Nulliparity, gyrus mellitus, preeclampsia.
and
କଣ
then pregnancy interval. Pregnancy interval is also one of the best. And ART you also mentioned. So these are some risk factors. And if at all any risk factor is there, then we should be little vigilant to suspect that this patient could be a subject for pre-eclampsia, and we have to deal with accordingly.
I think every woman, every pregnant woman should be risk for in our country for cystic.
Yeah, every pregnancy is
So one more area, mean arterial blood pressure.
Yes.
After risk factor, then mean arterial blood pressure, and after this, other investigation,
ମୁଁ ରଖୁଛି ନା
like markers, one more uterine artery pulsatility index is also one good marker, and now this PLGF. So there are some combinations, but one very interesting situation: if PLGF and uterine artery pulsatility index not available, you are working at primary health center or small nursing home in periphery. Then how will you manage? So naturally, with high risk factor and mean arterial blood pressure, you should suspect and you should deal with patient accordingly. So baseline screening test should be combination of maternal risk factor with mean arterial blood pressure. And if biomarkers are available, it's fine. Otherwise, you may deal accordingly. So that way. Any comments about PLGF?
PLGF, this is coming in big way, but PLGF is not available throughout our country. I think some few centers it is available, but I hope in the near future it may be spreading over the country, different parts of the country.
So now we are running short of time, so we will be. So do not ignore even a smaller complication due to size. Because even smaller complications may put into trouble in people. So what to do very quickly and how to prevent all these diseases? Just I mentioned both severity, communication, and documentation, and proper counseling. How to counsel is also very much important. Because usually we start like this: what is the complaint in our OPD also? And there are so many questions on part of patient. Say for example, why did it happen? Will it happen again? How it can be avoided? Could it be avoided? So there are so many questions. So we have to do like this. So last final word from each panelist. Can you message? Yes, Lata.
Counseling is a very important aspect to prevent litigation and also to soften the litigation. Documentation, there's no choice. Yeah, we have to document.
Other than counseling, in each and every patient management should be individualized and that should be according to the standard protocols. We should be documenting whatever protocols we are managing and try to pick up complications and disclose those possible complications to the bystanders and all. So unfortunately, any baby will think it's only first recording, but next day she may shoot up and she may commit a sin. So tell them immediately that your concepts, such and such complications will be.
Being prepared to deal with emergencies and dealing in complications, make every person at the health center able to manage these complications, have drills, eclampsia drills and eclampsia drills.
The biggest tool is our own consents. So, we are taking any individual person who should be desperate about the condition in the regular internal basis and even the standard protocols. And sometimes we have to know our own limitations also plus objectives because sometimes 1% complications to happen in multiple in spite of the whole every knowledge, every expertise, and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
So, William Osler has written, medicine is the science of uncertainty and art of probability. And problem with world is that intelligent people are full of doubts, while stupid are full of doubts. And we should be careful for that. This gentleman has so many staircases, but he doesn't know how to use them. So, it doesn't matter how many resources you have, if you do not know how to use them, they will never be. There are so many provisions in law also in our favor as far as medical practice is concerned. But if we do not know, then they won't be useful. So have some basic legal knowledge. Always obtain medical advice whenever you are in doubt. And to summarize, antenatal and labor law protocols you have to strictly follow. If you are treated as per standard protocols, it shows your consenting part of law that you have taken utmost care of your patient. Adequate supervision and monitoring, communication, counseling and consent, documentation and record keeping, foreseeability and anticipation, audit of your own case. So not to end up into this type of problem in future. So it is also very much important. And in spite of all this professional nature, our journey to serve human and mankind is always on and on. So if you want to sleep like this, take tender care of your patient. Pray your Almighty God before going to sleep and keep my visiting card. So,
Thank you very much, panelists. So that all of them have taken the whole pearls which they have obtained from this panel.
so thank you very much. If at all any query, any question from audience, if time permits.
I'll make an announcement. Dr. Elsu Patel has flown all the way from Ahmedabad this morning. He just reached about half an hour back and is finishing his lecture and going back to Ahmedabad. That's the kind of dedication.
Yes, we discuss. Ultimately, that very case was managed by Dr. Prakash Nirmal. That very primary health center patient was sent to Bengaluru in his institution only, and he managed that case very well. Patient was discharged, baby was fine. But case was filed against that doctor of primary health center.
Even the second case also was. Thank you very much, panel.